Hello friends, welcome to my channel Quiz and Storyline. Friends, I kindly request you to subscribe to my second channel, Anokai Movie Stories, where I explain this video in Urdu. Today we will discuss No More Beats, which is an amazing film. The story begins with a brilliant programmer named Pall, who has always excelled in his computer programming. Due to his hard work and skill, he was awarded a prize in college. Today, Pall is supposed to be promoted at work, but unfortunately, the promotion goes to someone else, which angers Pall, leading him to quit his job. The interesting part is that in his anger, Pall hacks Nepakat's presentation and inserts funny emojis. During the meeting, when Nepakat's presentation is filled with emojis, everyone starts laughing loudly, and Nepakat is left embarrassed and confused. This was just the beginning. The real story starts when Pall receives a job offer that turns out to be a huge fraud. With no other options, he quickly accepts the job offer from Singapore, which is related to online games. Initially, Pall is very happy to have landed a fantastic job, and he goes to Singapore without any second thoughts. Upon arriving in Singapore, he meets Andy, who immediately asks him to do some bizarre tasks. Andy wants Pall to hack all the phones of the passengers on the airplane and give him their identities. Pall perceives this task as a normal responsibility and promptly hacks everyone's phones, handing all the information over to Andy. Pall thinks everything is running smoothly, and his job is perfect. However, after a long flight, when they land, some goons suddenly attack them. These goons kidnap Pall and his companions, blindfolding them and taking them to another country. This country resembles Thailand or Cambodia and is called Keenan. Pall cannot comprehend where he has ended up. During this chaos, he also sees Andy and realizes immediately that this job was a huge scam. When their blindfolds are removed, they see Ben, the owner of the goons. Ben tells them that this is not an ordinary job, rather, people are forced to work here. Anyone who refuses or denies to work is punished severely. Ben's men take Pall and his colleagues to a large fraud factory where many people are working against their will. Everyone is imprisoned there, and anyone who refuses to work is threatened or subjected to violence. For Pall, this is nothing short of a nightmare. His dreams have been shattered, and he realizes that he has fallen victim to a massive fraud. In this factory, various illegal tasks are assigned to people, such as hacking and data theft. Pall begins to blame himself for accepting this job. Ben gives a tour of the factory, showing how people manage online gambling websites and attempt to deceive customers into getting trapped in gambling. There was a unique way to earn money there. Pall thought it would be an ordinary job, but the reality of the place was something entirely different. Everyone was engaged in earning money through deceit. One of his colleagues took him to another floor, where there was a high-security internet room. Only those who were experts in computers and coding worked there. They earned 3 times more than the people working on the first floor, but their work was equally challenging. Some individuals worked happily, while others were forced to work. If anyone refused to work, they were threatened and beaten. Pall realized that this was no ordinary office, it was a place from which escape was difficult, and he felt trapped. He was then taken to another area filled with beautiful girls who tricked people into gambling and robbed them of their money. One of these girls was named Lillian, and seeing this made Paul angry at why these girls were engaging in such activities. He now understood that the entire system was based on deception and lies. Paul was completely broken inside because he had thought he would have a great job, but instead, he found himself trapped in a factory of deceit. It felt against his conscience to work there, and he planned to escape. However, as he tried to flee, Andy stopped him, saying that escaping was impossible. Paul found himself with no other options and reluctantly began to follow Andy's orders. He was taken to another room where workers were allowed to rest, but the conditions were so poor that rats were everywhere, preventing them from sleeping peacefully. Andy forced Paul to make a phone call to assure his family that he was fine, but Paul refused to lie. Andy tortured him, and to avoid pain, Paul reluctantly sent a false message to his family. Andy seized Paul's phone to prevent any contact with the outside world. Paul witnessed a man being brutally beaten for attempting to escape. This scene extinguished the last flicker of escape from within Paul. The next day, Andy instructed Paul to pull off another scam, but this time Paul refused. Enraged, Andy started beating Paul and threatened to cut off his ear if he didn't comply. Terrified by this cruelty, Paul reluctantly began to work. All the workers collaborated to create an advertisement aimed at ensnaring people into online gambling, but Paul's conscience told him that all of this was wrong. He wrote "Help me" on a piece of paper and tried to throw it out the window while in the bathroom, but it wasn't that easy. The window was completely sealed from the inside, leaving Paul unsure of what to do. Fate also mocked Paul as the toilet lid broke, leading to an awkward fall. This situation became so absurd that Paul found himself caught between his dreams and reality. Now we flash back to a scene from months earlier, where a beautiful model named Lily's life changes due to a minor misunderstanding. Lily, successful in her modeling career, was fired by her boss because her image was used without permission in a gaming advertisement. This small scandal damaged the company's reputation, resulting in Lily losing her job. Her dreams shattered, she became very disheartened after being laid off. One day, an old friend visited her home and offered her a new job with good pay. Lily thought this would be a great opportunity for her. Happily, she went to work with the boy, but upon arrival, she discovered she would have to play an indecent role. Angered by this, Lily quietly left. The boy followed her, trying to force her back, but Lily courageously slapped him. The boy, furious, tried to overpower her. Just then, Lily's friend arrived and threatened to call the police, which prompted the boy to apologize and leave. After this incident, Lily's friend took her to her home and introduced her to Andy, who offered her a new job. Lily found Andy's proposal very appealing because it offered high pay, and she thought her life would be back on track. At that moment, Lily had no other job options, so without much thought, she accepted the offer. Later, Andy took Lily and some other girls to his headquarters. Upon arrival, Lily and the other girls received strict instructions, and their passports, mobile phones, and money were confiscated. At that moment, Lily realized that this job was not what she had imagined. Lily's story begins at a point where she was dreaming about her aspirations, but she soon had to face the harsh reality. She was told in a friendly manner that she would only be released once she collected 5 million customers. Her job was to attract people to gamble online and make them addicted to gambling. In this deceitful game, every player had to be arranged in such a way that they lost all their money and went bankrupt. Thus, Lily had to sacrifice her dreams to work in this factory of deception. With no other option left, she slowly became trapped in the web, making it extremely difficult to escape. One night, while heading to work, she felt a pain in her stomach and went to the bathroom. At that moment, a colleague named Paul was there and wrote a note to help her, which unfortunately fell into the toilet. Lily found the note, which read that she should not tell anyone about the matter. Lily realizes that Paul is also involved in this deceitful story. Sharing her experiences, she confides in him about her troubles. Andy, who is concerned about Lily, becomes angry when he notices her absence and starts banging on the bathroom door. Lily panics and urges Paul to hide, as he had promised to help her reach her target of 5 million. When Lily finally steps out, Andy slaps her hard, causing her to cry and claim that she is on her period. Hearing this, Andy realizes his mistake and apologizes. However, what Lily does not know is that Andy has developed feelings for her. Suddenly, a noise emanates from the bathroom, making Andy suspicious. When he checks inside, he finds Paul drenched in sweat, who discreetly swallows his help note before escaping. Meanwhile, a new character named George is introduced, a fresh graduate returning home after dropping off his girlfriend, Sam. Upon his return, he receives a notification on his phone about an online gambling offer. Without thinking much, George starts playing the game. In this game, Lily acts as a skilled dealer while George continuously loses. He eventually gets a chance to win, which boosts his confidence, leading him to boast to his friends about making a fortune through his gaming skills. However, when he tries to buy a gift for Sam, luck does not favor him, and he loses all his money. Embarrassed, he remembers how Lily had helped him before and decides to call her to share his losses. Lily encourages him, suggesting he try one more time, reigniting his spirit. Later, when George meets Sam, he receives a game notification on his phone. Searching for a power bank to charge his phone, he starts playing again and wins this time. His happiness knows no bounds, but this joy is short-lived. The next day, while at work, he receives a message from Lily about a lottery ticket game that promises bigger winnings. Without a second thought, George invests his money but ends up losing everything. Thus, his gambling addiction escalates. He begins to think about the game day and night, even selling his valuable clothes and belongings. Running out of money, he starts borrowing from friends and neighbors to gamble again. His life deteriorates rapidly, leaving him with nothing but dreams. Eventually, George's parents sell their land to finance his treatment and pay off his debts, resembling a Bollywood storyline. Despite surviving, George feels no remorse. The ghost of gambling still haunts him. He becomes obsessed again. Friends, George is now dreaming of becoming a betting god. His obsession with gaming has reached a dangerous level. The next day, he even puts his own house up for collateral. Yes, friends, you heard it right. Before sending his house into the auction, George heads off to place another bet. Meanwhile, his mother is extremely anxious, wondering what her son is doing. Friends, George's girlfriend Sam warns him to take care of this madness, fearing what he might do next. Friends, the plot of the episode is that George wins a bet of 1 lakh this time. After winning, he dreams of buying the entire Taj Mahal. But the twist comes when he finds out that Sam has cancelled his bet. Hearing this, he gets so furious at Sam that he can't even express it. But George's madness doesn't stop there. The next day, he goes to his grandmother's house and steals all her jewelry. This means that, friends, in the end, even grandma is not safe from his gaming addiction. Now, George also realizes that the situation has become very serious. Gaming addiction is ruining his life. But despite grandma's pleas, friends, he fails to pay back the money. His mind gets even more disturbed, and in today's life, friends, the game reaches a dead end. George completely breaks down, as if someone's conscience has been shattered from within. The pain is clearly visible on his face. On top of that, his girlfriends inform the police because they don't want George to go down a worse path. The police, friends, start an investigation into the gaming issue. This means that George's troubles are about to escalate. George's condition has deteriorated to the point that he never thought he would get so addicted. One day, he locks his mother in a room and threatens to harm himself. Friends, that's not all. He starts demanding his mother's credit card password. At first, his mother refuses, but hearing her crying son's threats, she melts down. What happens next? She gives him the password. Friends, George withdraws all the money from his mother's account and tries to contact his old gaming partner, Lily. The game starts again. This time Andy and Paul urge him to place one last bet with this money, assuring him that he will win and everything will be fine. George, who had lost everything before, friends, falls into their trap again. He gives the children's money to Auntie, and as soon as the money is transferred, Auntie blocks George. At this point, George realizes what he has done to his entire family. When he gets home, he locks himself in his room. Sam, who is trying her best to save him, starts explaining, "Please, don't do this. I have informed the police, they will fix everything." But friends, George does not listen to anything. Right in front of Sam, George jumps off his building and takes his own life. George's parents and Sam are heartbroken, as if their entire world has shattered in an instant. They are left clueless about what to do and where to go. On the other hand, his sister and auntie have succeeded in their endeavors. They have forced many people, like George, to invest their money and are celebrating their success with a big party. Everyone at the party is happy, but little do they know how many lives they have ruined behind the scenes. Friends, this story serves as a warning. Gaming doesn't just cost money, it also destroys lives. But on that day, Lily is very happy because she has achieved her big goal. Poon has helped her create 5 million customers, and she is secretly dancing with joy. Furthermore, her sister becomes so passionate about her work that she happily takes on the job of overseeing the security system. Meanwhile, friends, Pall sets up his game. Here, Neely, taking a break from her work, asks her sister for a passport to go home. But Ben douses her hopes, saying, "Not yet, madam. You have more work to do. You need to increase 5 million customers again." Hearing this, Lily's mind gets overwhelmed. She quietly leaves. Zahir, after getting a new room, smiles after the promotion. Now, friends, a big plan comes to his mind. Here, he thinks of escaping, and one day he notices a worn card left on the table. He remembers he had brought it from home. On this note, he had written an emergency number. In fact, when all the workers were being transported in a vehicle, Annelies had secretly given Lily that note and told her to use it. Lily, friends, understood the situation immediately. When they stop at a hotel to eat, Lily thinks of calling the elevator for help. But then a visitor collides with Lily. Friends, and the note falls to the ground. Oh man! What a timing, right? Just then, Andy comes and takes Lily away from there. But friends, the one who has become completely shaken quickly goes to pick up the note from the visitor. A week later, the scene shows Pall having modernized the computer systems to the point that there is no longer a need for workers. He requests to send all the workers home with a pen, and they all agree to his decision. As the workers leave, they rejoice, as if they have just received a vacation after exams. One worker approaches Pall and hugs him. At that moment, Pall feels everything is fine and discreetly hands the worker a note. When Andy is about to send the workers home, he runs out of cigarettes. Now Andy starts asking the workers one by one for money, but when he searches the workers, he finds the note that Pall had given. He thinks this is his chance for profit and heads straight to a shop to buy cigarettes. But just as he's about to leave with the cigarettes, the shopkeeper tells him that this note won't work because it has something written on it. Andy checks the note, and when he sees it, his mind spins. He realizes that someone is planning to send information to the police. His blood pressure rises, and he immediately takes all the workers back to the factory. Then he tells his boss the whole story, and upon hearing it, Pall's face turns red with anger. He immediately starts torturing the worker. Pall and Lily realize that there is only one way to save someone: to come forward themselves. They both accept that, yes, Pall was the one who gave the note. Upon hearing this, Pall commands his men to torture them. One leg is broken, and he is screaming in pain. Andy, who has completely turned into a beast, treats Lily ruthlessly. A plan is devised to transfer them to another location, but Lily remains steadfast in her intentions. As they are being taken by bus, she suddenly escapes from the bus and heads straight to the police station. However, Lily is unaware that the police officers are also Pall's men. The police capture her and lock her in a case. Ben is informed that Lily is in their custody. Shortly after, Andy and some of his men arrive there, but this time there's a twist. Instead of taking Lily to Ben, Andy traps her in a bag and throws her straight into the sea. After that, he records a video, as if he is shooting a film. Then he pulls Lily out of the sea and hands her a passport, acting like a hero. We find out that Andy has genuinely fallen in love with Lily, which is why he did all this to protect her. Lily escapes from there and rushes straight to her friend, who is a police officer. She tells her the entire story, and her friend, along with senior officers from her department, devises an impressive operation plan. Some officers check in at the hotel where Paul's men order fast food, and there they find the address of the people involved. Now all the officers send a secret message to Ben, instructing him to turn off the emergency fire alarm. As soon as the alarm sounds, the police special team barges into the factory to raid it. However, they realize something is amiss. They check all the CCTV footage and discover that Paul is alive, indicating that Andy has deceived them. One by one, the police officers enter the factory. But when the police officer attempts to apprehend him, Andy, in a fit of rage, opens fire on her. The police also retaliate, shooting Andy. After that, Ben is immediately arrested. In the final scene of the movie, we see that a year later, the police apprehend over 1 million gamers, including Ben. The operation is a success, and then an emotional reunion occurs. Paul and Lily meet again, both feeling immense relief. However, Paul is deeply saddened by the loss of one of his legs, yet he acknowledges that what remains is still life. I request you to help me reach 10,000 subscribers on my channel soon. We hope you all enjoy this video and will like it. Please subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much for your love-filled comments. See you in the next video.